Hey everyone, welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium. And we're continuing our little divergent mini-series on pacing in the Zelda series between dungeons. And today we're talking about the games that we think have poor pacing. You know, the first one that I think really sticks out, maybe Wind Waker. It has a very narrow intro. You can't really explore the Great Sea that much.
You're stuck on Outset Island, then you have to do the Forsaken Fortress, then you have an area on Windfall, then you have to do Dragon Roost, and you literally can't sail away. But then, once you beat the Forbidden Woods, you can go to all 49 squares on the map. I think you can have 5 heart containers, maybe 6, by the time you enter the Forbidden Woods, the second dungeon. By the time you enter the third dungeon, the Tower of the Gods, I think you could have 14 heart containers. There's like 25 pieces of heart you can get. You can upgrade your magic, you can upgrade your bombs, you can do so much in the world before you ever enter the third dungeon. And it's just awkward that you could do very little between the beginning of the game and Dungeon 1, and between Dungeon 1 and Dungeon 2, and then between Dungeon 2 and 3, everything is open. Virtually everything.
There's a thing with this game that, in this intro portion, that happens with some of the other, like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, where the first time I'm playing, I'm kind of like, I'm very curious, so I'm usually very engaged, like, figuring out what the story is, and even though I feel like some of the tasks are not as exciting, I'm just like, okay, I'm finding out what happens as a new Zelda game, you know? So it's keeping my interest as a fan of Zelda. But upon replay, it's like, you know,
oh, you don't care about the...
some of the story is good in some of these games, but some of it is just like, you know, I want to get to... I'm glad that they have skip buttons in some of the later games. Like I said, I appreciate some of the story that's there, but I might always prefer like A Link to the Past, where you have to optionally talk to the NPCs. They'll give you a little bit of flavor of the world, you know. I don't need like a, you know, couple minute scene explaining what's going on, you know.
I mean, there's some iconic scenes. That's the part of the game.
I'm not even talking about cutscenes necessarily. I'm talking about, like, an example is when you go to Dragon Roost Island for the first time. It's just a gauntlet of conversations with the characters. Maybe if that dialogue was optional, I'd appreciate it more, but it makes me more actively dislike it upon replay.
Especially on Dragon Roost, you really have to talk to person A, then B, then C, and there's no real gameplay involved with this. It's literally just walk up to this guy and talk to him. Then there's the giant Triforce quest, which has been remedied a little bit in the HD version.
I mean, it's such a thing that they remedied.
Yeah. I mean, even if you know what you're doing on the GameCube version, it's like an hour of gameplay of A to B to C to D. They're missing a dungeon, maybe even 2, in that portion of the game, where you think of the early part of the game, the distance between Dragon Roost and the Forbidden Woods is not much at all. You sail over, you get an objective, you're in the next dungeon. It could be hours and hours of gameplay, but after you beat the last dungeon and before you go to, you know, back underwater to the castle.
All of the issues we're citing with this, like, happen throughout the series. After Wind Waker, basically.
This is something that started with Twilight Princess, but between the first dungeon and the second dungeon and the third dungeon, it's, oh, fill up these Tears of Light. Oh, why don't you go fill up the Tears of Light again? Oh, let's do it a third. Like, are you kidding me? Like, can we get some more diverse gameplay here?
It would be enough and kind of fun if you just had to do the sumo wrestling side quests and, you know, climbing Death Mountain. But instead it's like, you have to climb Death Mountain sort of twice. This is not a new criticism, but, you know, basically having to do a pre-dungeon section twice is not exciting.
With the Forest Temple in particular, you make your way to the Forest Temple 3 times before you can actually go into the Forest Temple.
Exactly, yeah.
After a lake bed, it becomes a little more diverse with what you have to do. Going to Arbiter's Grounds is a little more interesting. Going to Snow Peak is a little interesting because it
gets a little better after that for some of these portions.
I think a lot of that is there's no mandatory you have to play as the wolf in this dark world where I don't think anybody likes playing as a Wolf Link.
I don't think that's true.
You think people like playing as Wolf Link?
Yeah, there's a bunch of comments. Just read the comments right now.
I think people like Wolf Link, and they like Midna. I don't know if they like playing as Wolf Link.
All right, we'll see.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It's got an element like we talked about with the ending of Wind Waker, the whole big fetch quest that they have before you go to the City in the Sky.
That's the oddball one, where that's like you're getting later in the game, and then there's this not really exciting quest. You get to visit areas of the map where in some cases you haven't been to, or you've never really explored that portion of the map.
Some of it's fun, like the doing the little hidden village part is really cool. There are some nuggets of fun in there.
Yeah, it's just such a long gap after you beat the Temple of Time and before you enter the City in the Sky. And it gets even more confusing because after you beat the City in the Sky, which is the longest dungeon in the game, you're probably going to be in there for more than an hour. It's like you beat it and then there's nothing between City in the Sky and Palace of Twilight. It's warp over here and you go. They should give you a little bit of a break. Just a cooldown period a little bit.
Maybe some of the stuff that you did before it, they could have reworked and done after it or something, you know?
I think the biggest culprit then is Skyward Sword. 3 different Silent Realms, 4 Silent Realms I should say. You're going back to the Sealed Grounds 3 times to fight the same boss. It's the redundancy. That's the problem. And I feel that was a problem with Twilight Princess, and it became even a bigger problem, I'd say, with Skyward Sword. I think with Skyward Sword, it suffers a lot of the same thing as Wind Waker. Like, I thought I was at the end of the game after I beat the Fire Sanctuary. The storyline has reached its conclusion-ish a little bit. It's like, alright, we're ready for it. But then it's retrekking over all 3 regions again. There's a lot of other Zelda games where you did something once, it was great, it was fun, and after the next dungeon, it's a totally different objective.
Mm-hmm.
That worked in a lot of games. I don't know why they go back to the same idea after each dungeon. It'd be nice to see more diversity.
So, okay, we're sorry, but we're gonna be positive in the next video, and we're gonna talk about games we think did it best. Also, if you like these games, let us know, you know, what the in-between portions, what you liked about them. Do you enjoy the story? You know, do you enjoy the objectives? Whatever you think about them. Give us a like, comment, do all that, subscribe. Thanks for watching.